Welcome back to another presentation of our broadcast here in the Issues Room. Today is August 18th and it's Friday 2023. I'd like to welcome you, our viewers, those of you who listen to us, our fans, our followers, our likers, lovers, whatever you term it. Welcome to this broadcast. Tonight is the 177th broadcast, and we'd like to welcome you in a special way wherever you are, all over the world. Those of you in Liberia, those of you on the continent of Africa, and other parts of the world who say good evening. I'm Volcano Shelton here at Anchor tonight, and we encourage you to please share our link, invite someone to be here with us tonight. As it is, of course, we're here on Tuesdays and Fridays. We are the alternative social media platform emanating out of Liberia, emanating out of Liberia, that discusses the things that matter to our country. And those things are where the country is. We look at the economy, we look at health, we look at education, we look at the lack of rule of law, we look at the justice system, we advocate for peace, we advocate for transparency, we advocate for gender equality, we advocate for justice across every facet of the world. We also advocate for policies to be in place that will enhance the progressivity of our country. We talked about corruption, which is the major factor that is keeping our country in a downward spiral. And so we encourage the conversation. When we come here, we invite you, our viewers, and we want you to chime in. It's important for you to be a part of these conversations. It never gets any better if you're not a part of it. It's important because when you become a part of the discourse, we can hear you, the people can hear you, because we do enlightenment. We come here to enlighten, and we want to make sure that your message gets across. And so when we ask you to chime in, to let us know you're here, we only appreciate it when you do that. And so Manneh Sumo, thanks for yielding to what we just said. Manneh Sumo, thank you. You, thank you. And we hope that many of the other folks will let us know that you're here, because this is about Liberia. It's about our country. You and I know that we are at a crossroad right now, and what is happening in Liberia shouldn't be happening. Extrajudicial killings, police are underperforming, underpaid. The military is about 2,000 to defend a country, a sovereign nation of more than 5 point something million people. You're talking about a military under 2,500, doesn't even have logistics. Can you really defend the country with that small amount of people? It's shameful. But the president takes $92,000 incidental fee, put it in his pocket, and go chill. Ministers are corrupt, stealing from everywhere. People are being booked for corruption, placed on sanction, and yet they've been brought to justice, or yet they've given a due process. And we're going to elections, and they're asking us to put them in different spheres of the country. From state minister, you want to be senator, where the accountability, where the legislature should be holding the other branches accountable. You've shown already in the executive branch that you're not accountable, and then you want to go into the legislature. What's wrong with this country? Why are we doing this to ourselves? And we say we're running again for a second term, and the others are running for a first term. Are we really going to go anywhere with this? Liberia is not going anywhere with this current configuration. It's not going anywhere. Other countries are making strides, and we can see it. The people are resolved to move the countries forward. And we use Rwanda as the success story in Africa. Rwanda lost more of its human capital than Liberia. More than 1 million people But look at where that country is since the 90s and the 2000s, because the people resolved to move the country forward. But the Liberian man, all he wants to do, drink beer, sit on the sidewalk. When he get one little small job with walkie-talkie, he be man, God grow big. He sit there and drink beer whole day. They go to work only 2 hours, 3 hours. They go for lunch, they don't come back, and they expect to be paid for the whole month when they only put probably less than 50 good hours in the month to work. What type of country is this? So, Moses, what type of country is this?
And, we are society. But I want to say it's a pleasure being in the issues room this evening with you to discuss the issues that matter most. You already started. That's commendable. I know today we have come to discuss a lot of contemporary issues obtaining into this Liberia. So let me ask the many viewers out there to please do us a favor by just sharing the link. Share the link, share the link, share the link. Invite more people. When we come here, we come to educate. We come not to pick a fight, not to take a side, but to just honestly and objectively discuss those issues that matter most. And Volcano, I would just like to use this opportunity to talk about two containing issues, the news of the day that I think we need to pay a little bit of attention to. Uh, Today, President Weah, was on a tour in Monrovia. It's campaign season, and I was a little bit, taken aback when he drew. I mean, when he threw a jab at the Senate bearer, former Vice President Joseph Boakai. We don't support any candidate, but objectively speaking, Mr. Weir said that Mr. Boakai cannot talk about holding him accountable, cannot talk about corruption in his government because he George Weir, the vehicle which the old man currently drives or which is currently used by the old man or the former vice president was given to him by he George Weir. I mean, when I heard that, it sounded preposterous. It sounded like someone who is behaving like a kid. And sometimes George Weah comes across really as a child. You know, uh, Mr. Weah is a very dishonest man. He talks about giving a vehicle to the former vice president. And Volcano, you and I know that having served in government for over 42 years, the last being 12 years as vice president, the Liberian government has an obligation to take care of the former vice president. So if the government gives a vehicle to the former vice president for personal use, and you have someone sitting, in the executive mansion who throw this tantrum, oh yeah, who is he to tell me about corruption when I give him a vehicle? George Weah, that's not your personal money. George Weah, when the government does a favor, when the government meets its obligation to a former official of the administration, you don't take credit for it as a personal, gift. Mr. Weah, let's look at you. You have a history of dishonesty. You took government money. Whenever you use government money and initiate projects, you refer to that as Weah's project. Volcano, when this guy came to the presidency, every project in the country was Weah's project. And these are projects that have been funded by the people of Liberia, the taxpayers. And the president takes personal credit. Isn't that dishonesty at the highest level? Recently, when he gave the pickups, motorbikes to the traditional chiefs. He said donated by George Weah. He forgets to know that Liberians are intelligent people. Those vehicles were purchased by what? The taxpayers of Liberia. Someone, Mr. Weah, conduct himself like that. He comes across as a child. He doesn't come across as a leader. And that just further lay the basis why, people are saying that this guy has to go because he doesn't come across as a leader. You
So
know?
I think the bottom line here is that he doesn't even understand the government's obligation to its former statesman and a person of Joseph Boyga, who is a former vice president. I believe that should be in his care package
Of course.
that the government is obligated to ensure that he's taken care of. So when you say I give, yeah, okay, you can personalize it because you're the president. Maybe you have to sign off on it, but in actuality, it is not your money that you used to purchase the vehicle for the former vice president. And probably the former vice president vehicle may have been the vehicle he used us, when he transitioned to what you call civilian situation. But again, the government has the responsibility to make sure that those people who serve the country at the top
That level,
are
yeah.
taken care of. Um, but that's what you get when the society is so gullible. That's what you get when you have a president who doesn't understand his relationship to the former statesmen in the country. When you now make everything to seem as though we are all enemies here, because at the end of the day, you're going to come into that role, Mr. President. You will become former president, and you know how former presidents are treated if you were able to become former president. And what do I mean when I say former president? Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is a former president who stomachs to stay in Liberia. Maybe you might not because you've laid the premise, the foundation for your outside life to be nourished for the rest of your life. You have properties all over the place. You now situated. So yeah, maybe you may not be a former president in Liberia, but if you decide to live in Liberia and be a former president, you will expect the same treatment that Ellen is enjoying. And you are providing that treatment. Maybe the next person may not provide you that treatment. The next person may pursue you for all the corruption in your government. So go ahead, make the noise. What the truth of the matter is, the Liberian people will make a decision, a resounding decision on October 10th. And we say is in their hands. If they choose to put you back, that's the will. If they choose to put someone else and how that person leads the country, that's the will. But yes, I agree with you. He can say that he gave the former vice president the ego. Because even when he talked about helping the former vice president with funeral something or medical something, the former vice president is entitled to medical coverage
Yeah.
paid for by the government.
Government, yeah. He
Paid
deserves
for
it.
by the government with no one penny coming out of his pocket.
Mhm.
The vice president is entitled to that. It's constitutional. Okay? So unfortunately, again, when we say that these people are running, a credible government, they don't understand the functionalities and the functionaries within government practices. Liberia, the man are president. The man stood at the airport and told the boy asking some question. He said, "You asking whole
Yeah, he's
president?
the whole president.
What wrong with you? What you call whole
Whoa.
president? You just an ordinary man. When you leave Liberia, you can't. How did I treat you?
They treat you
How
like
did they treat you?
a
They brought you to
government.
the CIA. You were let us know you sweaty in the room. How do they
Gov-
treat you? You went to the coronation of the king.
yeah,
How do they treat you? They sat you right to the bathroom door.
yeah.
So only in Liberia, you hold president.
A whole president.
This title thing.
How does he define what he call whole president?
You know.
Yeah.
So let's take the last one because our guest is in studio Moses. Let's do the last piece quick for trending news, and we can bring in our guest, Dr. Joe, the rabbi, Dr. Joe Baba, who is
In the bike.
yeah,
Okay.
he's already ready.
Yeah. So The other trending news is that sources close to the Unity Party, and some of those individuals are also close to Mr. Henry Costa, the talk show host, the one-time supporter of former Vice President Joseph Walker. The issue room has received multiple reports from individuals that are close to Mr. Costa and the Unity Party that you know uh, despite the recent denigrating comments that Mr. Henry Costa made against the former vice president, discussing the former vice president health in such a denigrating way. Mr. Costa now has uh, changed the way of doing things. Instead of going public, he's now calling people behind the scene, propagating the same messages, saying that, hey, I want you to vote for George Weah. And that is the hypocrisy, because I have heard Mr. Costa, on a repeated basis, says that he will never support George Weah. But now we are hearing from sources that Mr. Costa is indeed a lobbying behind the scene, talking to people who wants helping financially. That, hey, I want you to give your vote to Mr. Weah. Ahmed Joseph Walker will soon die. I mean, how do you do that, Volcano? No one can predict the death of another person. You may look healthy today, in split second you can go to bed and that will be it. Or just at the sound of something, you can die instantly. Anybody can die at any time. Even medical doctors who are trained, to give prognosis of someone, they will always say that the prognosis is 6 months. If the disease progresses, if the person is terminal ill, they're not going to say the person is going to die tomorrow. They will give you a prediction that, hey, if the disease progresses based on what we are seeing, it is likely that the person may live 6 more or less than 6 months. They're not going to say tomorrow, because no one has control over that. So if Henry Costa is calling behind the scene, lobbying for Mr. Weir, I think it's just so sad. It's so disappointing that a young man who was so desperate to become vice presidential candidate will now, decide to do this kind of, dirty party things. It's very sad, Pacano.
Yeah, so honestly, I mean, again, Aaron Costa has the right to support who he wants. He has the right to sway like a pendulum. He has the right to say 1 minute here, if I support Joe, we have uh,
Yeah,
hair should grow in my palm, and
women
he has
palm, yeah.
another minute to say, I'm going to support George Weah. But just like you said, you can't stop him from doing, or you can't, say don't do what you're doing. Maybe it's the way that he can lobby, or maybe something, I wouldn't say the Holy Ghost, but the money ghost. The money ghost may have touched him. They say the Holy Ghost, when the Holy Ghost touches you, then something good, right? Maybe the money ghost with behind the scene has touched him, and so now he's changed his volume, he's changed his intent, and so he's doing what he's doing. But again, I think the most important piece here is the prediction of Mr. Barker's death.
Yeah,
Everyone is running with the prediction as depicted by the seditious who carried caskets with his picture on it as symbolic of him being, deceased. All of those things are not necessary. All of those things are not necessary. Liberia is just a small country that is crippled by the lack of good leadership, is crippled by corruption, is crippled by bad human society. Because when I use the word bad human society, I'm talking in terms of how divided we are, and this sect of our young people who are now hooked to drugs, uh, who should be inheriting the country as future leaders. Their whole future is in peril. and so many things. And you would think that we use this election to harmonize. And irrespective of who becomes the president, that will rally to support this person. Because I tell you, Moses, if we stay divided in this lane, right?
Mhm.
Until we get to October 10th, guarantee we're going to remain divided. We're going to have what I would consider silo driven governments where you got to be my right hand man to hold position. And then we tend to shrink away from the people who have the expertise. And our guest tonight talked about it. He's going to come in, and I think, and I'm going to just tease it so that he can re-echo it. That a man of astute knowledge in the area of arts, performance, culture, dramatization, all of the things, archiving the history of our culture for more than 40 plus years. You hold a centennial, a bicentennial, and this man is not tapped. It's not brought to the picture to say, hey, here's your expertise, here's your era, because you're attracting investors and foreigners to come to celebrate. What were they able to show regarding our artistry? What were they able to show regarding the archive of our culture? Nothing. Nothing, because somebody takes the money and pocket it and they create a charade, right? So
Mhm.
if we continue to remain divided because of political differences, when we come to the presidency, we will remain divided and will lose out on the opportunity to tap the best of our brains, whether inside or outside, whether for or against, and we will continue to remain this way. And it's not good for this country that has claimed to be the first independent nation on the continent, has driven in the driver's seat, leading other countries to independence. But look at our compatriots, look at our counterparts, how far they've come and where they're going, and yet will remain stagnant. It is a shame and it's sad.
Yes.
But let's bring Dr. Joe Gbaba in the Rabba. Good evening, sir. Welcome to the Issues Room. We're just trying to cover a little bit of some of the things that we do in the issues room. We look at some of the trending issues in the country before we bring in our guests. Good to see you. I see someone sitting flank on your left there. Who is that?
Yeah, yeah, that's the madam,
So then
the
you got to
And
go a
then
little,
you need to enter
princess.
the camera. Yeah.
go so small so the man can sit inside you. You know
Yeah,
the thing that
okay,
me and my wife, me and my wife are one.
okay, yeah,
Hello.
that's it.
But you know you
It'll
central now.
come here. Yeah.
Go to your right small. Go to your right.
Go to my right.
Yeah, go
Let me
there.
come.
Right
Let
now,
me come.
madam, come closer. You good
Let me
right
come.
there. Madam,
Okay. And then
they say, hold on,
yeah, yeah, I
hold on.
think they're
They
okay.
say
Yeah.
body to body.
Yeah,
Body to body, no party. There you go.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So so if they can just the height,
Oh, the
you
height,
want to
my
go
height.
up a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah,
Yeah.
just tilt your
Just a little bit.
camera, just the camera. If there's a
Just
laptop,
adjust the
don't move
camera
the
for the
Oh,
camera.
both of
just the
you.
camera. Go
Yeah,
up
just
Yeah,
a
bring
little
it
bit.
towards you small.
yeah,
Bring your head
Towards
up.
me.
No, yeah, no, bring your head up.
yeah.
Take it
Head
back a
up.
little bit.
Oh,
No,
Oh,
bring
take
the
it
head
back.
up
Yeah, we want you to go
mhm.
high up. No,
like
Oh
this.
no,
we
you're going
loosen you.
down. Fine, fine, good.
Okay, all
And
All
right.
right,
then
now you
yeah,
got to dress again.
yeah.
Scoop to your right.
Okay.
Okay.
Just a little. You gotta move. You gotta move, my man. Go.
Oh, I gotta move.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
yeah,
Man,
yeah.
right
And
there.
then
You
come
good.
closer. Yeah.
All
Okay.
Good.
right.
We got you guys.
All
Okay.
right.
Now I don't know why it's kind of blur on the madam side, but
I
so
think the
good.
Yes,
lighting.
everyone.
Yeah.
Good to see you guys.
Okay,
Welcome to.
thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, been pretty liking it a little bit. Okay.
All right, Dr. Bagba, welcome to the issues room.
Well, thank you very much for having us. My wife will be on briefly when we talk about the Tripartite Anniversary.
Okay.
And she came on purposely also because what Volcano stressed earlier about division in the country. So my wife and I are promoting national unity. She is American Liberian and I'm indigenous Liberian. And
Okay.
we've been married for 40 years.
Oh wow! Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. So we are appearing together tonight as a symbol, as a special message to the people of Liberia that if I, an indigenous Liberian royalty from the Crown ethnic group of Liberia, can marry and live peacefully and happily with an American Liberian from the Port family, in Cruiserville, Montserrat County, we strongly believe that all Liberians can live together if we respect one another. So that's
Thank
the
you.
message we have for the people of Liberia as we prepare, for the elections in Liberia. We are appealing to all our people, whether country or Congo, that the key picture, the bigger picture for all of us is the Republic of Liberia. And we are all Liberians, based upon the Constitution of the Republic and also based on our inalienable rights as citizens of the Republic of Liberia.
Let me quickly say, I
Very
don't know.
much
Hold on, Dr. Baba. I don't know if
yes,
there's a light just because she's absolutely blurred. We can see you, Clara, but she's
yeah,
blurred from the other side. So it could be some shadow of light that's
yeah,
blurring her face. I don't know. Is
yeah.
it
It's
the
It's
position
in the
of
there
light.
must be a reflection or something like that.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
But then maybe I can just stay over here.
But you know what? I
No,
think let's just keep it as it is for Volcano. Let us stay
yeah,
on.
okay.
there's a light. There's
Okay, there's a light
Come
over
on my
there in
side.
the back.
Come on
Yeah.
my side. Come on my side.
But
Let
I
me
can
use it.
just stay like this.
Yeah, you see,
Am I still
Oh,
blur?
yeah.
all
Okay.
right.
Come
Okay, sit
closer.
on this side. Sit
Okay.
on this
Yes.
side.
Okay. Have a seat.
Okay.
yeah,
Have a
yeah.
seat, madam.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so, mhm.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, but
Yeah.
we'll make sure that we get the message across. Okay.
Yeah. Good.
No, you're
So
going too far. Come back so small.
Okay.
All
okay,
right.
It's
now, so,
okay
Okay.
now.
All
Yeah.
right.
okay, okay, all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very
All
cool.
right.
So basically, that's where we are. So there are two things that you requested for us to cover tonight, which includes the Rabbi Joe Gbaba DATI Tripartite Anniversary, and then and she will be on for that. And then the second part is the election, the electoral process, and when she leaves, then we will discuss that with respect to how I stand and what I feel and what my suggestions are as a Liberian cultural expert and also an advocate for peace and justice in the country.
Okay. So Moses, let's keep
Yeah.
the ball rolling.
Yeah.
Go
So.
ahead.
Mhm.
But before you
Yeah.
go there, there were things that you said, trending news that you
Okay.
took.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You want to
Yeah,
say something on that?
yeah. Let me say something about the trending news.
Yeah.
I think Volcano made a clear expression when he said that the country has an obligation to citizens, renowned citizens who serve in positions of public trust, uh, uh, and that upon their retirement or upon the end of their tenure, that the country has a responsibility to ensure that they are protected, that their needs are met, and that they are given the due respect that should be accorded people who serve their country. Also, it must be made categorically clear that no one is doing anyone a favor, especially a former vice president of the country or a former president. If you, as the sitting president, approve the provisions and the amenities that person is entitled to, yeah, that's justice. You want to make sure that transparent justice, is executed. And as the president of the nation, it is your responsibility to make sure that what belongs to John is given to John after he or she has served his country and people. So I just wanted to emphasize that as well, so that people understand that you're not doing Mr. Boycott a favor because you assign SSS to him, and or you give him a vehicle, and or that he gets his pension. Those are things you're supposed to get when you serve your country. Here in the United States, even as an employee, after you work for an organization, a company, or agency, when you retire honorably, you are entitled to your pension.
Yeah. Pension benefit.
You
Yeah.
see, your benefits and all of that, health, you know, cash, whatever it is, travel expenses, and all those kinds of things. So let's just make it clear that that should not be part of the conversation with respect to the forthcoming election. Those who are running and who desire to hold positions of public trust in Liberia must appear on TV, on radio, to talk about what they are going to do. What are you going to do as a leader of the country with respect to providing services? The basic reason for establishing a government is to ensure that the resources, the combined resources of the people, are used wisely in the best interest of the people, not in the best interest of a few individuals and the rest of the people starve. So the purpose of leading your people is to help them manage, fairly manage the resources that are available so that you have education, good education for the people to bring up the new breed of Liberians that will take over when you leave, so that you ensure that the health of the people, is protected, and that you're providing the means for which we can have healthy living and healthy life, because healthy citizens create development. They work, they are healthy, they think wisely, and they do things, effectively when they are healthy, not when they are sick. Transportation and communication is very important. If you live in Morovia, to go to Riverside, you don't have to take 3 days, 5 days to get to Riverside. That lack of connection and connectivity in the country has also hindered the progress and development of the country. So the basic things here people should be talking about is not talking about, personal stuff. I don't like Moses, I don't like Volcano. No, who like is your business. But if you want to lead my country, if you want to lead me as my leader, you must tell me how you and I can work together to construct the first school of the performing and visual arts in Liberia, so we can promote and preserve the history and culture of our people. I am willing and prepared and trained to manage that kind of institution, so that we have it, so that we don't be like the way we are now. We don't even have a kindergarten. Nobody can go to Liberia. You take them, they say, well, if they say, I want to know something about Liberia, the different ethnic groups, the food they eat, and how they think and this and that, where will you take them? Where will you take them? Nowhere. Before then, we had somewhere to take them. We say, oh, sure, come to Kennedy. You go there, go see Mount Basic. You go see Flomo. They go see Gata, Caesar Gata, these different people. We had that. We don't have it anymore. So we are going to talk about that tonight, because it's so very, very significant. That's one of the reasons my wife is here with me, because in the construction of this kind of institution, she, as a mother, someone from a home very trained and all of that, she bakes, she cooks, she crochets, she sews. Those are things that she wants to talk about for the young ladies, the children, the girls that are coming up. They don't have to sell their bodies. When they are trained, properly trained, they can be good mothers, they can be good wives, and they can be productive citizens. So that's where we are. So people should be talking about those things and not talking about the personal stuff. That the Liberian people, the Liberian voters should not buy that. When they hear those kinds of things, then they know that that person is not ready to serve them.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Moses, let's move
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Gbaba. It is good that you were able to lay that to rest. Like I said earlier, and this is where most people will have problem with Mr. Weir, really pound on him when he becomes so childish. And absolutely, most people like myself, I strongly believe that George Weah is indeed an epitome of what many consider to be the tyranny of democracy. A group of people get together and give you somebody who is grossly incompetent, who doesn't understand leadership, and you have to live with that, whether you like it or not. And that's how he come across. Every time he opens his mouth, he says nothing but gibberish. But back to the discussion tonight. There are a lot of young people in Liberia. There are a lot of people who are watching you and your wife tonight. I know little about you. Volcano and I, when we were in the Liberia yesterday, we follow you consistently. We know your work. We can speak to your work. But just briefly tell the many young people out there who are not acquainted with all the good job you did all the years. Who is Dr. Gbaba? Maybe your wife will talk briefly about herself, the Dehkontee Artists Theatre, I still remember. So,
Mhm.
Dr. Gbagba, help us get to know you better.
Yeah, I try to help to provide some kind of visual aid, and
Yeah.
I sent a PowerPoint presentation to Volcano.
Where is it at?
It's
Is it
in your email.
all right?
So if you open that up, that would be very very helpful, because then they will be able to see some of the things that I'm talking about and what this tripartite anniversary is all about.
Okay.
But in the meantime, while Volcano is doing that, I just like to what for the young people, because there are a lot of young people that were born during the wartime, and we will have over maybe like 60% of the population of Liberia born during the wartime in the last 40 years or so. Most of them don't know about Liberia when Liberia was a peaceful nation. Most of the young people don't have not lived their lives as children. They were forced to becoming, adults overnight, to engage in violence, to engage in the violation of laws, the and order, order that. So they did not experience, what we experienced as children, and how we were collectively, guided, directed by the adults in our lives. They don't know that. Well,
Dr. Bagua, please pause quick. Send it to eruptible at yahoo.com. ERUPTABLE at yahoo.com. I don't see it here from you. So
okay. Also, it went to Gmail. Do you have a Gmail?
no, let's do eruptible at yahoo.com. I'm already there. So if it comes, I'm able to open it right away.
Okay, so let me see how I can
Well, let
get
him
off
complete
here.
it, does. Yeah,
Yeah.
let him complete it, does.
He
Yeah.
can send it now because it will take some time for me to do research.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
while you do that, can your wife just talk a little bit about herself, Arabida?
I think
Yeah.
they're on one computer. Both of them are on one computer.
Yeah.
Moses.
We all want
Mm-hmm.
we all want computer. So let me just
You
But
see
yeah,
let me
that?
but
just.
she can talk, Moses. We can hear
Oh
her.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Just
Yeah,
just just be talking. See it. See. Okay.
Okay.
Am I just Arlita Baba?
Good. Yeah,
Yes.
Mrs. Barbara.
Dr. Baba and I have been married November 19th of this year, going to make us 40 years of being married.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And we have 5 children
Wow.
and what, 13 grandchildren. And I am mother and also have a master's degree in criminal justice from
Okay.
St. Joseph's University in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And I right now I work with people with intellectual disabilities, and it's it's a job that I like because I like to help people, and so I just want to be a part of the Liberian people, the children coming up in Liberia right now, especially the young girls. I, I, I hope that they will be able. I see that they are not doing well. Most of them are out on the streets, not going to school, and trying. Some of them are struggling to make markets for themselves when most of them can't really make it. But I pray that everybody will be able to do something for. They will be able to do things for themselves by the help of God. I also pray that schools will be open, like some development for them to learn how to read, write, learn how to cook, you know, home economics as a matter of fact, home economics whether they're going to bake, cook, crochet, uh, knit, all those kinds of little things. How to take care of your homes, and if possible, even make market.
How to maintain a marriage for 40 years?
Yeah, maybe
Yes, of
maybe that's a
course.
good
Yes,
education.
yes, of course. And that is to first God first. We put God first in our marriage, and there are times that you we don't really force like going out for. I'm not an out person. I'm a home mostly stay home mother, wife, and so I pray that most girls, young girls coming up will be able to do that. And I know it's hard, but once God is in our lives, we can go through. That's what we are going through, and I hope that children, young girls out there will be able to adapt to to, to their lives, and be able to do things that they will not be able that they will not really be out there with men, letting people fool them and make their lives better to make their lives better. So I guess
Well, thank you.
that's
That's good enough.
yes, I'm
I
not
appreciate
yeah,
that.
So,
I'm
so,
not
so,
I'm not a talking type much.
so
So
have you sent it yet? Because I said Eruptable, eruptible.
Yes, I did. I sent it to Yahoo.
But did you send it to eruptible at yahoo.com?
Uh,
eruptible.
You gotta do that all the time thing. You know about email that you now.
yeah, I
I,
did. I did
Man, what are you
eruptible.
talking about? Dr.
I
Baba,
did
you say
eruptible
email?
at yahoo.com.
All right.
That's what I did.
Okay,
Yeah.
eruptible at yahoo.com.
I
Okay.
Yeah.
did it.
Okay.
ERUPTR. Oh, okay.
Oh,
You see, I keep telling you, I'm spending the thing for you. You put in your own thing. Hey, you see that?
okay.
Yes,
you made
yes,
mistake.
yes,
You made
yes,
another
yes,
mistake.
yes.
Okay.
That's a mistake.
So
So,
Dr.
so
Baba, while you do that, let me
it's
ask.
eruptible. Let me
Yeah.
finish quick. Eruptible is ERUPTABLE. Okay.
Eruptible.
Okay.
All right.
I
So
got
have
you
you?
now.
All right.
I
Yeah.
At
got you.
yahoo.com.
I got you. I
But in the
won't make that
meantime,
mistake.
while you doing
Yeah.
that, let me welcome my man Alphonso. My man, what are you eating back there, Akanya?
Amazing darkness. Oh, yeah. So, while you trying to take care of that, Dr.
Hold on,
Baba.
Moses. Moses.
Mhm, mhm.
I'm the uncle now. I
Yeah.
introducing our man.
Okay.
The man
Okay.
still doing research. Let bring in Alfonso.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank
Welcome, Alfonso. How you doing? You're muted, buddy.
I'm muted, sorry.
Okay.
Hey, Volcano, thank you for welcoming me. Hey, Moses, thanks.
Yeah. Welcome.
Prof, good to see you
you.
after
Yes.
several years. Um,
Yeah, thank you
and
so much.
Mrs. Gbaba, good to see you as well. This
Thank
is my family, so I'm happy to be here with them. That's why I try everything to be here. I'm not even home. I would not have made it on this show, but I decided to stop halfway and join the show.
That's the
I
second part.
know
Thank you.
I know the importance of the show and these two people who are on the show.
Thank you.
But
Okay.
Gbagba was my teacher. He taught me English at LU, and then he also taught me at another UNICEF program. So yeah,
That's
we
good.
have a relationship.
Okay.
Thank you.
So,
So Volcano is there now.
Yeah, I heard it click, but I'm waiting. You got to populate. Go ahead.
okay.
Okay.
So what I was saying, Dr. Baba, I just wanted to
Yes.
ask, Mrs. Barbara, are you also in the business of arts and culture?
Yes, well, not a lot, but yes, I am. I am.
Okay.
I help my husband a lot, and then
Okay.
I do act. I'm not an actress, but I do act. Yes, I do.
She has acted in some of the shows
I've acted
and
in.
the documents that we sent. She's on some of the production photos that we have there too.
Okay.
She's taking part in the Frogs and Black Snake in Frogsville at the Bowie Center for the Performing Arts, and most of
Yeah,
the time she's always there.
yeah.
Okay.
Doing little things in the background. To
Okay.
help the show go on.
Okay. So, Dada, talk to us about the theater and yourself. Why Volcano
Okay,
fans?
okay. So
The email,
So,
yeah.
it's so difficult to talk about something that it has almost half a century. We're talking 49 years. I may not look it, but I have been on Earth now for a little bit. Uh, yeah, but 49 years ago, 49 years ago, Liberia wasn't as it is now. 49 years ago, maybe it was very rare to see a Gbaba married to a Put. Okay, that's the reality of our time, and that's where this whole thing about country and Congo started a long time ago. All right, so 49 years ago, when I was in boarding school, and I received a calling. What I do, what I have done for the past 49 years, it's not a career per se. It's what we call a vocation. A vocation is where God calls you to do a certain thing. And He gives you that power. He gives you the wherewithal to do it. That's what happened in my case. 49 years ago, as an indigenous Liberian, even though I come from a traditional royal family, but the system, the governmental system does not recognize the history after 1822 coming up and all of that. So if you were the king's son or king's grandchild, whatever it is, it doesn't mean anything at all in Liberia. Okay, it was that time when I had this vision. And the vision that I had, I was empowered and inspired by, should I say, the Holy Spirit to write a play. I woke up one morning and I just took a pen and started writing. That's how I started. I started writing. But the idea that God gave me to
Dr.
write.
Baba, you're fading from the scene. You got to come back in. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
All right.
she just need to scoop to the right a little bit, just a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the play that I wrote, when you write a play, it must have a title, it must have a subject matter, it must have a theme and all of that. And all the ideas that God put in my head to write this play was about integration and national unity. So the first play I wrote was called Kekula. The fella boy living in the village with his parents, but his parents wanted him to be quick. Because as you see, the one thing that I want the Liberian people to understand is that our culture is divided into two unique sections. It's divided into the pure traditional society that deals with the African from the beginning of time. And I happen to be a descendant of those type of people. And then plus the history and culture that begins with people like her and her ancestors. So those two unique components must always be honored, respected, and combined in order to present the Liberian situation to the world. Okay, so if you are Liberian, if you can't stand Congo people and you are Congo man, you can't stand Congo people, this and that, then it's not going to work, and it does not make any sense. But however, with respect to this first play that I wrote about Kekula parents sent him to live in the settlement, to live with a settler family. And while living with the settler family, he fell in love with his adopted sister in the house. We were playing hide and seek. She got pregnant. And you talk about 49 years ago. Also, I want to let the young people know 49 years ago, you are an indigenous young man living with the people you go and pregnant or Congo girl, that was a big trouble. Sometimes, you won't live to tell the story, but sometimes they will whip you. Or there were a lot of things will happen because they just did not like that. Okay. But this family felt that they didn't want their grandchild to be a bastard child, so they made them to get married. So because they got married and they had children, their children were related to the indigenous people and the settlers. So that's what this whole play was about. So I was like in the 12th grade when I wrote the play. And also I have a lot of background with Liberians, different ethnic groups. I was born in Morovia, the melting pot of Liberian culture. I wasn't born up country, I was born in Morovia in a big city. and grew up there among all the different ethnic groups, Pele, Kru, Brown, Gribble, this, that, blah, blah, blah. So Kakula lived with the people, they had children, they were related. But sometimes what happens in life, if because that's why I say it's a vocation. Because when God calls you to do something, He can provide the wherewithal. How I got the money to put up the play, to direct the children, to take them to open the theater, to put up that show before a huge crowd of people. And then those days in Yekepa, at the open the theater in Yekepa, they had a lot of up, upper echelon people. 49 years ago, there was no middle class. You were either up there or you were part of the masses. And all these big people were there. And there was some American Liberians in the hall. One of them was Charles B. Roberts. Charles B. Roberts was the manager for Lanco. So he watched the play. And then the magistrate James Harris was there. He watched the play. And then my surrogate mom, or Dolly McCready, Master, she was in the hall too. They watched the play. So all these big Congo people, when they saw what the play was all about, they said, but this is very deep. So they thought it was a professor that wrote the play. So they said, but who's the professor that wrote the play? So they said, no, it's not a professor, it's a student that wrote the play. So Charles B. Robert, he had big fault. He said, tell a young man to come here. So they give the special assistant to say, Mr. Charlie B. Robert, so you should come. I said, Charlie B. Robert calling me, that kind of big man there calling me. So I want to say, young man, who told you all this thing here? You wrote the play. I said, yes. He said, man, that was very good. So he called his assistant. He said, give the young man $500. 49 years ago, $500 was plenty money.
Yeah.
So that's how I got my first money. My wealth started like that. But the inspiration went on. So the other interesting thing was that 9 years after I wrote the play, 1983, I got married to an American Liberian woman. So it seemed like I was writing my own story. She and myself got 5 children who are related to the Johnsons, the Pools, the Massacre, the this, that, the Clark, and all over the place. So now, if you, the Liberian people, and I'm speaking to the Liberian people right now, in general, if you, the Liberian people, what would you say to my children? You talk about country and Congo. But my children, they are related to the country people, they are related to the Congo people. So how will you call those kinds of children? My children, not the only children. There are other families who are intermarried. So the issue about, politicians, going on the air, to say those kinds of things, it is seditious. That's sedition. And what is sedition? Sedition is where you as citizens say things that will not unite the people, but that will disunite the people, that will cause confusion, that will cause the kind of chaos and the bloodshed that happen in the country. It's seditious. So people who are lawmakers are really supposed to pass a law that when people say those kinds of things in Liberia, especially after our war that we had, senseless war that we had, that those people should be arrested because you that's sedition to the person Congo. No, you want to know what the person has to offer. We want to do, and everybody should look at one another as Liberians. Yeah, that's
Sure, Dr. Gbaba.
the
We
story.
want so let me go to the pictures now so we can go through it quick because
Mm-hmm,
we're running out of time. It's almost 8 o'clock. We haven't covered grounds yet,
mm-hmm.
so that way it gives you an idea of where we are. Again, this stuff is acting up. Uh, why is it doing this again?
It's spinning.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So
There
let's
we
talk
go.
about this quick.
So those are just organizers of the Tripartite Anniversary.
All
And
right.
as you can see, we got a lot of ladies there. These are all Liberian states women, people who are, really, effective, people who want to see something good happen in Liberia. And the person on the far left, far right is Linda Boosmill Tall. She's the chairperson for the entire anniversary that's taking place. And then we have Juliana Kofa Dixon, who is Dehkontee Artists chair for Ways and Means. And Comfort Soba, Shelu Soba, she's a caterer. She's a socialite that does a lot of things. And then Irene and all these different people. Just keep going up, please. Keep going up. Let's go to the real thing. Keep going up. Keep going up. Past the stuff. These are all people on the board and all of that. And okay, right there. Right there, the purpose of the Rabbi Joe Gbaba Tripartite Anniversary Dinner Board fundraiser, celebration of my 49th anniversary, because we say tripartite. So that word tripartite means that there are three significant milestones that we are celebrating, which is the 49th anniversary of my calling, the 46th anniversary of Dehkontee Artists Theatre. Dehkontee Artists Theatre been in existence for 46 years, which is very rare for a Liberian organization. This is a collegiate organization. You must be a college student or high school graduate to become a member. But traditional artists don't have to be high school graduate because they have that traditional knowledge that we're also going to be using to teach and preserve Liberian history and culture. And as you can see there, those are the three different things, the performances. The group on the right, the far left here is left on my left. That's the original Dehkontee Artists Theatre at University of Liberia 46 years ago. And then of course that was me there, and our marriage 40 years ago. That's a 40-year-old picture there. And this is where we're going to be having the event. It's going to be held at the Nemerian Tribute House. That's at 625 Hazelhurst Avenue, Marion Station, PA, right outside of Philadelphia. Very nice place, as you can see there, where the event is going to be taking place. And the sponsorship is it's being sponsored by former students. And Alphonso, I sent you an invitation, so I look forward to seeing you at the thing. Volcano, you are also sent, or you guys, the thing. So we want to construct the first school of the performing arts. The auditorium that you see there is a picture of the auditorium of the university where I went to school. I attended a school of theater at the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. And that was under the sponsorship of the government of Liberia. So that's one of the reasons why you see I'm very, very happy to give back, because the government of Liberia sent me abroad to be trained so that I could come and establish an industry, what's that, entertainment industry in Liberia. But unfortunately, here we are. We've been in exile for more than 25 years, so that's a sad thing. But we are preparing. Hopefully, if we can get the support.
So just talk about the low area about raising 100,000, blah blah blah. Talk about that.
Yeah, the purpose for that actually is to raise up to about 100,000, some of which will be used to purchase the land where the building is going to be put. And hopefully by next year, after the inauguration and everything, that's why we want a peaceful election. At the end of the, hopefully next year, we want to do the groundbreaking ceremony in Liberia, which will coincide with my golden jubilee, my 50th anniversary as a playwright. And this is something that we want to do for the Liberian people to preserve our history and culture. These are scenes from some of the productions, that we've had. Uh, the one up there is Love for Myanmar, and we did exhibitions, at the Liberian Embassy where you see the Liberian flag. And then on stage, one of my sons, playing a leading role, etc. And then we do literacy, teaching the children how to read and write their own stories and all of that. Keep going, keep going, keep going up. Yeah. there we are at the Smithsonian. Just stop right there. We are at the Smithsonian, so we've promoted Liberian culture over the past 49 years at different places. On the far left, that's a performance we did for President William R. Tolbert at the Executive Mansion Theater. And then on my far right, there at the Smithsonian Institute, which is a global, space for arts and culture and all of that.
Well,
So basically,
let's quickly address this piece right here.
yeah.
Yeah, it says the play featured the chains of apartheid. Just 2 minutes, please.
Okay, fine. The change of apartheid, one of the things that someone like me can do, and Tolbert realized that, is that a playwright is someone that can help a leader to transmit their political messages and policies. So in 1977, President Tolbert launched the National Fund Drive for the liberation of Southern Africa. That time, well, Mandela then were in jail. All those people in Mozambique were fighting for their freedom and all of that. So and they were based on apartheid in South Africa. So I did research to find out what apartheid was, and I wrote and directed and produced a play that portrayed the ill that Botha and the people of South Africa were receiving under the apartheid regime. And when Tolbert heard about that, because that promoted his policy, so when he heard about that, he got very interested in it, and he invited us to the executive mansion to perform and all of that. So through culture, through these kinds of things, we can promote national policies, national, agendas and all of that. And that's why it's important for us to promote and preserve our culture. Probably like culture so much that the National Cultural Troupe, the University of Liberia Chorus, Cardinal University Chorus, cultural ambassador. Every time when he went on an international visit, he would take one of the cultural troops with them to showcase Liberian history and culture. So that's very important. We like that right now because we don't even have a national institute to do that.
Thank you. So before we go back to the photos, I'd just like to go to intermission. If you just joining us, welcome to our 177th edition here of our broadcast in the Issues Room. We're here Tuesdays and Fridays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 p.m. in the Greenwich time zone, particularly Liberia. Volcano, Shelton, Moses, Sandy, Alphonso, Yeno. We're featuring the rabbi, Dr. Joe Gbaba, and his wife, Araminta Gbaba. We're discussing the Dehkontee Artists Theatre Incorporated. 49 years, they'll be celebrating that tripartite, uh, you know, existence coming up in December, and we're discussing that. We also will be looking at civic and voter education here as we glide toward our elections on October 10th. So please share the link, invite others to join us here. Flomo Livingston, thank you for coming through. David Kra, we say Adia Umo. It's good to see you all the way in Australia. George Sivis, Maria Gardell, good to see you, man. Thank you for joining us, Manneh Sumo, Manny Pele, K Sumo, and also Ferja Moyu, all you wonderful people. Please share the link, invite people to join us here tonight. This conversation is good because we don't have this history right now. If you go to Liberia, you ask for the National Archive Center, where are you going to find that? You ask for the National Museum, where are you going to find that? There's no more Kennedy, in fact, like he said. It's just the school. Because Ellen Johnson certainly sold the whole property to Robert Bob Johnson, the owner of the former Charlotte Bobcats and BET, and they built the RLJ Resort. So our history is gone. And I will blame Ellen Johnson certainly for that, but it's a whole nother conversation. So we'll come back to that. But let's continue here with the photos. So where we are right now.
Okay, where we are right now, stop right there. Where we are right now, the photo, the banner on the far right is a banner that where we did the launching of the DATI Kukatona Peace Project in Liberia. Dehkontee Artists Theatre, we felt that, after Mrs. Salif's term expired, the United Nations left. And we knew, those of us who are elders and educated people, we knew that the United Nations was specifically in Liberia to protect her. That's what it was for. It wasn't for wasn't to protect the Liberian people, because if it were for to protect the Liberian people, then they would have stayed, to make sure that things develop. But when she left, they left. So when they left, I felt that there was a gap that we needed to make some kind of noise to do or Liberian initiative to let them know that even if the foreigners leave, we can still stand up and promote peace and reconciliation in our country. So along with help from some, patriotic Liberians, even including Alphonso, who doesn't want to be, named as one of the donors, they kind of helped me to get some money to launch the DATI Kukatana Peace Project in Liberia. So we established a Dehkontee Artists chapter in Monrovia with the University of Liberia students, Columbia University, and all of that. And we established the Maryland chapter. I think you've spoken with someone from the Maryland chapter before on this show.
Yeah.
So we've been promoting peace and reconciliation through music, through dance, cultural, carrying up cultural performances through other places, since that time. Unfortunately, we haven't gotten the kind of support that we need. One time, one Liberian politician who is in the present government was interested in becoming a sponsor. So we welcomed him, with the hope that he will help us get connected with the status quo so that we could do more for the country. But unfortunately, when it came to a by-election, he wanted the country artists to do things for a political party. So I had to make it clear to him that a non-profit, as a non-profit organization, we don't take sides, and we don't do campaigns. We promote the entire country. We promote anything that will benefit the people, not a specific political group and all of that. And then unfortunately, he withdrew his support. Well, that's fine, because I didn't want to be caught up in an unprofessional act, of was supposed to be promoting the culture of Liberia, and not sort of be taking sides. So I couldn't, submit to something like that. So we feel that we will continue to encourage and lobby with the Liberian people to give us that support that we need so that we can be a neutral body that will promote the entire culture and history of the country and that one set of people.
So this picture right here, what is it?
This picture here is part of our program in the United States where at the recreation centers and all of that, I do literacy, Afrocentric literacy. And the program that I do is research based. It's based on my doctoral dissertation with respect to the need to insert African centered materials in the various curriculum, the curriculum that they offer in the school. It also applies to Liberia, where the curriculum does not relate. And the photo you see there in the middle, that's one of the photos that are from the Frogs and Black Snake at the Bowie Center for the Performing Arts.
Oh wow!
And that one is a children's book that I wrote. It's called the Frogs and Black Snake also. So I have what's that? I have a narrative, version of the story, and I have a dramatic version of the story. And the photograph up here, that's me at the Centennial Pavilion, 1992, when the heat of the Liberian Civil War, we were engaged in reviving the culture of the country and making sure that we help to restore normalcy to the Liberian society. Oh, that's a gift from one of the high schools. They gave me a pen, and it's one of the most precious gifts that I've gotten from any group of Liberians to recognize me as a playwright. Yeah, and was here in the States here. Now, these are the young people. Yeah, just break it down a little bit, please. Yeah, these are the young people right there. You see, these are the Liberian youth. Moses, Alphonso, and Volcano. I want to tell you that these children, you should give them all the blessings and everything. These are young college students, college graduates in Kepamas, University of Liberia, Cotton University, that pledged and they took oath to promote peace and reconciliation in Liberia. And for the past 4 years, since 2019, they have been, there volunteering. Unfortunately, we applied for, one of the grants that were offering for the voters education with UNDP, and we were denied. But these are the young people that are there who are tired of all this thing that's going on. Their future, they realize that their future is at stake. Their future is bleak. There's no hope. Some of them finish college, no jobs, nothing. You see, so this election that we're having is not an election for people to say, look how you feel, you look ugly and this and that. No, they should tell us what they're going to provide for us. What
Yeah.
they're going to provide for these children that you see here that got degrees, that are graduated from college with degrees and no job.
No job.
That's what they should be talking about. But they don't want to talk about those kinds of things. As you can see, these are all college students. But when you when
Isn't that the Maryland City Hall in
yeah,
Harpo?
that's it. Maryland said that we're having a
Yes, I
cultural
remember.
festival there.
I remember it. Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
'Cause
we're
I
having
was
a
in. I
cultural
was in.
festival there. That's a cultural festival doing the global war dance. And you see all these children, they're college graduates. And one of the things that we're trying to emphasize with them is that because you got degree doesn't mean that you don't have a culture. Because you got degree doesn't mean that you don't come from an ethnic group or you don't come from a village or whatever it is. Wherever you come from, cherish it and let people know who you are. So that's what that is all about. Also, we were engaged in relief supplies in Morovia, in Dole community, Clarita, Bannersville area, all those places. So we've been doing a whole lot of things, but nobody to give us the support. Those are pictures from the cultural festival. Yeah, yeah, in Maryland.
All right.
Wow.
These are all
Interesting.
students that don't know us, but they do not know us at all. But they are all so happy to be,
A
you know,
part
to
of something big.
partake in it.
Yes, I
Yes.
haven't met them before. I have not met
Wow.
a person. Yeah, but
That's
we've
great.
connected.
So let's give Alfonso the opportunity since he just got here to ask his first question around what we're talking because we're gonna wrap this up in the next say 10 minutes. Then we'll go to the voter education piece.
So, Prof and Sister Armida, good to meet you all. Once again, it's been a while, Prof. But yes, I've been following you obviously here and of course before. We have a history from DATI and all of that too. Um, so it's really great. You've been doing wonderful work. My concern is with arts and culture in Liberia. So I've
Yeah,
seen arts and culture here in the United States. I've seen arts and culture in other countries, Nigeria, South Africa, etc., and the role that they play in development, economic development, peace building, enhancement of culture, etc. So I have two questions for you.
yes.
Question number one is what do you see as the state of art and culture in Liberia currently? And question number two is what role do you perceive art and culture playing in Liberia's economic development, peace, and just development in general, education and development in general? So, what is it currently, and what role do you see going forward?
Thank you very much. I want the Liberian people to listen to what I have to say regarding those two questions. The first question that you asked, what is the status of Liberian culture and history? You know, um, if I weren't a man or traditional man, I would be crying. I would see tears coming from my eyes because one of the worst things that ever happened to me in Liberia during this war period, you know, was the closure of Kenija. The closure of Kenija was a systemic, a well planned, designed, vicious strategy by the Western world and their stooges in the person of Mrs. Salif, who served as president of Liberia, to shut down the National Cultural Shrine. It's a shrine. It was a shrine. A shrine is an institution. Is a symbol that the people look at and they value the most. So the thing that will value the most, that will bring us and hold us together as one people. That's why she went. She attacked it. She attacked it, and nobody said anything. That could not have happened in Nigeria. That could not have happened in Ghana.
Dr. Gbaba, let me make this disclosure quick before you continue. I am a 1989 graduate of the Kennedy High School. I enrolled at Kennedy in 1986 from 9th to 12th grade. So I know what that property is. I know what the history of the National Culture Center was. Um,
And,
people,
and, let me go further now to let you know. When
okay.
you attack the culture and the history of our people, that attack is something like how would I call it? It's something like the COVID. When it attacks you, if you're not strong, you die. Okay? They did it purposely to kill the whole thing so that we won't even know who we are.
But the point I was trying to make here is that
Mm-hmm.
that property was secured by President Talbot,
Mm-hmm.
and that place was built. All of the culture performances and the different groups, the international theme that we got, the
Mm-hmm.
going to China, coming here to the U.S., traveling abroad, all of those things were developed at that center. Even during my time there, I remember when President Doe was President Doe, he didn't even temper, he even improved it
Yeah.
upon what Talbot built. And presidents came to Liberia. I saw Nicholas Ceausescu visited the National Culture Center that year. I think I was in the 11th or 12th grade, and we all performed to take the troop to the airport. I was in the band with Cesar Gator and the rest of those guys, the SK Wawa, because we used to do all of these things. Um, it was just a place. It was a place of tranquility once you get away from the everyday bustling. You were there learning the heritage of your country. You were.
Exactly.
I used to dance culture. I mean, these are things that people don't know. I, I'm telling you, and we were soaked in it. But take away the culture piece, we were one of the best schools in the country. People used to think, oh, you just go over to the dance culture. You were fooling yourself because all of our teachers were college graduates with master's degrees. There was nobody who taught me from 9th to 12th grade came from the sidewalk. All of the teachers who were there were well paid.
Mm-hmm.
If you know the name, there was a man who was at Tottenham High who lately came to us when I entered the 12th grade, one David Shatoma. Anyone who went to Tottenham High should know that name. He was no joke. So we had the best of teachers. So people who came out of there were sound. Carson Copier, who was at ELBC, who was with ELTV, he graduated from there. So I felt bad when I heard that Ellen took that place and sold it or gave it, however it was, to Bob Johnson. There are many other coastal areas on the continent. I mean,
Yeah.
on the
In
country.
Liberia. Yeah.
She could have taken him to Cape Mount. She could have
Yes.
taken him to Idano. There are many places. But why take the National Culture Center and give it away? And I think she should stand trial for it and explain it. Honestly. Look, I'm being honest with
Yeah.
you.
So let me tell you what happens. And one of the things that they and I said was a colonial strategy is that was what the slave traders and the slave masters did to the black people here in America, in order to subdue them so that they wouldn't know who they are and to be disconnected with their heritage. So as a result, now in Liberia, talking about the status of Liberian culture, the children there, people wearing beads and things like they're from Nigeria or Ghana. Those are not those. And yeah, go ahead. You see, and they're not things that our people used to wear like that. You see,
And another
Let's,
another thing
okay.
I see with the Liberian students now, back home, normal days when we were learning in school, they taught us to say zero. But not every time you talk to a Liberian child back home, they say zero, zero. I'm like, I don't know where they get that from. Zero, zero, oh, zero, one,
Zero.
one. They're giving their full numbers. They go there,
Yeah,
zero, zero.
zero.
I'm like,
Yeah, zero.
what are they doing?
yeah, and that's that because
Mhm.
of the influence. You see that
Influence,
the
yeah.
influence in
But in fact, the people are pronouncing the country as Liberia. They
yeah,
Uh,
don't say Liberia no more, Liberia. But first to ask you a series of questions. So,
yeah.
uh,
So let me get to the second one.
yeah,
So the first one, the status is that the culture of the country has been strangulated. Okay, that's where we are right now. And because and they did that for
Strangulation.
a purpose because when you do that, then the crewman doesn't know that he related to the gravel man. The gravel man doesn't know that he related to the crown man. The crown man doesn't know that he related to the bassa man. Okay, so now you got everybody at each other's throat, and that's the kind of confusion they want to continue in the country, and that was the reason why they attacked the culture of the country like that. So now, what do we do? Moving forward. What do we do moving forward is what I came up with the proposal that we're having the Tripartite Anniversary, and we want to raise funds so that we can construct the first school of the performing and visual arts. We won't carry it back.
Hmm.
We'll carry it back. For somebody like me as an indigenous person, that's a big crime. That's a big crime because that's all we got. Our history and our culture. It was already damaging for the war curriculum of Liberia, not to even include the digital history and culture of the country in the curriculum for people to learn about it. Now you come and the little thing that we Bati Moon and left with us, you come and you destroy it totally. That we don't have anything. I am saying to the Liberian people, it's time for us to build a cultural institution again. We put it back there. We put it back there. It belongs there. I cannot be an indigenous person and go to Liberia and I don't have a place where I can take people to show them how our ancestors lived. That's not patriotism, and that's an attack on the existence of the Republic of Liberia. So that's where we stand. That's my response with respect to what do we do? What do we do is where I'm going to begin. We're going to raise funds and we'll start building an institution where our culture can be promoted and preserved. And I pray that all of you will give us the support that we need for us to do it. Because why? We cannot continue to depend on government to do things for us. Here in the United States, it's ordinary citizens like myself, like you, who get together and decide to do things for their country. Those people that everybody wants to be president. But to be president, that's not the only job in Liberia. I want to be president. I want to be president. For what? Show us what you want to produce for us. You can't show it to us. You causing the next man causing you. The person do this and do that. We're not children. We're not children. Let them tell you, the people that are voting, let them tell you what they say that they're going to do for you. And we hold them accountable.
yeah, I think Liberia is the only country that the democratic process that we say we got in place that American come to the presidency with ease. The only country. But let's go down to the voter and civic education piece here. Uh,
Okay.
you want to tell us what it means for the upcoming elections at this time when the things that we see here campaign, people are fighting each other, people toting casket with picture of a opponent or a opposition, put it that way. There's so many things happening. I see people getting gashed. They're fighting each other, partisans fighting. In fact, the two big parties, the CDC and the UP, that were all the fighting on here, but the other people. So, what would the civic and voter education do for the people as we move forward?
Well, as we transition,
I
Mrs.
want to say
Baba,
bye to all of you.
Okay,
Okay, bye,
thank
Mrs.
I
thank you,
hope
Amita.
Bye,
everyone will
Mrs.
attend.
Bye.
I hope everyone will
Bye.
attend our tripartite program on December 16th, 2023. And
Okay.
Okay.
each one of you.
Dr. Ba. All right, Mrs. Bawa.
Okay,
All
bye-bye.
right. Fine.
Uh,
Now, with respect to the voters' education, let me take this seat. Yeah, let me come here so
mhm,
I can be seen properly. Yeah.
mhm.
With respect to the voters' education, I took down some notes that I wanted to share with the people because um, when it comes to voting time, all the wickedness and the friskiness that all the people that are in power do to people and all of that, when it comes to the voting time, then they're scared because they're not sure.
But you see, man, we are all in the ring. The man can
Well,
pick.
not just we are alone. There's plenty there.
Man,
For
what?
me, let me just give me a chance. Let me speak as a national playwright. And I would cover the whole thing. I don't talk too much.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. So they get scared and they don't want people to know what the rules are. Because number one, it is important for all Liberians to understand that the Republican democratic system is foreign to over 90% of the population of the Republic of Liberia. What do I mean by that? Those of us who are indigenous people are about 90% of the population. Our ancestors never had presidents and vice presidents and three but separate branches of government. They were ruled by monarchs. So you come in 18 something and introduce a system that is foreign to the people that the people don't understand, but yet you're imposing that process on them and you're not explaining to them what the process is all about so that they will be able to participate actively and to make informed decisions. So that's what this voters and civic education thing is important, but they deny the citizens the right for them to know what they are getting into. A lot of people don't know about ballots and all of that. For instance, voters registration and voters updates. Okay, that particular aspect of it is that those of the people who are voting must produce certificate of naturalization. They must vote only in the voting precinct of the electoral district for which he or she is registered. So there are complaints coming up that people are intending to pull people from one place to the other to be voting here and there. So the Liberian people, the Liberian voters need to know that if you see somebody voting in Bapolu, and that same person tomorrow, you see them coming to Banga to come and vote, you can raise issue about it because it's against the election law. Those are things that the people need to know that they don't know. Okay. Uh, uh, uh. Also, we're talking about dual citizenship. The dual citizenship, so far as we're concerned, we got a dual citizenship law, but nobody has come up from the election commission or whatever it is to tell us, the citizens who are in the diaspora, whether we are entitled to cast our vote on October 10th. It's part of the law that has not been discussed. Okay, a person must register in a voter registration center established by the NEC for the place where they should be. So one of the two concerns that I have about the certification, the certificate of naturalization, is that we have all in the border counties, in Grand Cape Mount, in Lofa, in Bong, in Nimba, in Grand Judah, in Maryland. We got all these so-called people that cross the border and they come, all of that. And some of them have been registered. Did they produce certificates of naturalization for the Fula people and the Buchanan bees and this and that, the guy in Grand Judah and other places for them to vote? Those are things that people who are representatives of political parties and candidates must seriously question. If you see any Burkina Faso, you see any so person, they're voting in that line and think you want to you question whether they got their certificate or naturalization for them to even do that. Because what's happening is that when they get these so-called people who are not citizens and they win an election, now we have somebody who is not qualified to rule us, but the person is going to be ruling us because, quote unquote, the democratic process says that they got a majority of the votes. When the majority of the votes were not done according to the electoral laws and all of that. So those are things that the Liberian people need to know with the voters' education that they refuse to tell them so that all this fussing can be going on now. The other thing you talk about somebody gashing somebody fighting people and this and that. In this electoral process, in the election process, first of all, it's supposed to be secret ballot. So if I'm voting for anybody that I'm voting for, I don't have to tell Volcano, I don't have to tell Alphonso, I don't have to tell Moses who I'm voting for. You don't have to. It ain't require anything for you myself to be exchanging curses and things because you want this person and I want that person. The other thing that so people let people just be quiet. All the noise they making, the people bring money to you, you eat it. When you go to go for you vote for the person you want to vote for. That's all you do. Because the money they're giving to you, they didn't earn it, honestly. So that's the issue. And Liberian people should stop giving credit and respect to people who steal. When we were coming up, there was a different case. That's why the culture thing is important. That's why they decided to attack it so that we won't know. But when we were coming up, we know that thou shall not steal. TV, John Koliko, roll, John Koliko. They have all kinds of social things that they will do to discourage those kinds of things.
Yeah,
So we
we
grew up
should.
not wanting for people to see TV behind us. But you
Yeah.
got a whole system, you got a whole group of so-called officials who are contradicting the laws of the country. And you honoring them, you calling them honorable.
Yeah,
The
that's true.
English language that you speak, most people don't know how to speak English. Most Liberians don't know how to speak English. They don't understand English. They don't know how to write it. The word honorable is not used for people who have killed people or who have stolen money or do this. You don't call them honorable. That's a misuse of the word, and that has an impact on the mentality of the people who don't understand the language that you're using. You're calling them honorable.
Yeah.
You see? And so when you do that, you are glamorizing those very things that you don't want to happen in your society. You
You
are
know,
glamorizing that.
Dr. Gbaba, you have tried so many salient things. I really want to commend you for that because, like you said, to refer to someone as honorable, it means this person that is saying as somebody that is held in high esteem is considered a role model. So
And
to
that,
be
and that the person
honorable,
has done something for the country.
yeah,
Not the people, the young people that come out and say, I want to be president.
yeah, everybody
Not
is
that I want to be
honorable.
president people. That's also against our culture. Because
Yeah.
in our culture, nobody goes around saying, I want to be primary chief. No, you don't do that.
Mhm.
You work, you
Yes,
serve the people, and then the people will come to you. In the night, they will
absolutely.
come to you and say, Oh, Moses, we came to see you tonight. You say, Oh, well, what do I deserve this kind of high power delegation? I say, No, God, something to tell you. Oh, when the chief passed and this and that, well, we felt that you're the only person that can fit in a shoe. So that's why we want you to be our leader. The
Okay.
people will come to you when you do the right thing, not go
But
all
hold on,
around you
hold
to
on, hold
be
on.
president.
The
Yeah.
man,
So
hold on, Moses. The man are now carrying a bag of money and telling people to petition them.
Yeah,
oh
that's
yeah,
what I
people
mean.
do that. Yeah, they
Yeah,
go in the community,
yeah.
may bring a
Yeah,
few bags of
and
rice, and
that shouldn't be that because that is corruption
Yeah.
because
that's
it's supposed to
enticement.
be by
Yeah.
merit.
Yes.
What the example that I just gave is a meritorious,
Dr. Why,
example.
you
You
gotta
got
go
to
to
do something
library and educate
for them to
our
do
people.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's
you know.
that's important. I
But look,
think Baba,
that
you've done that a lot
so
before.
Alfonso, let me
Yeah,
let me
sorry.
just complete this question. Dr. Baba, two things I really want to follow up with you on. You talk about what they call in Liberia voters, trucking. People move from one region to another.
Mhm.
And they say, well, you can vote anywhere as a Liberian. But you and I know, like actually they say, if you live in Tumbo Village, an election is being held for a representative in Tumbo Village, you should be able to vote in Tumbo Village You don't go to Painesville to vote for a representative in Painesville, because when that happens, you are imposing your will on the people of Painesville, right?
Yeah, not only that.
Yeah.
Also, it is illegal. That's why what I'm reading from here
Yeah.
is from the election
To-
material.
yeah.
From the election book.
Hmm.
Their own law.
Yeah.
We respected that. No, it's not supposed to be like that. First and foremost of all, you must register at a specific
Yeah. Location.
precinct and location.
Mhm.
You can only vote at that very location where you register. Okay. Also, you cannot vote. You cannot register anywhere. Like the way how sometimes they got people at the borders and things that they registering those immigrants. Say the Liberians and all of that. No, you cannot register anywhere. Wherever you register must be established by the NEC as the voters registration spot where you got to go to register. And where you register is where you must vote.
Yeah, but the point I'm trying to drive here is that let's assume that you, Dr. Gbagba, you want to be a representative in Grand Juda County,
Mm-hmm.
and you come to Monrovia, you recruit a Volcano, Shelton, Alphonso, and you say, hey guys, let's go to my district in Grand Juda County to register for, to vote for me. Then we go there, we register for you. I mean, we register with the hope that we'll go and vote for you. Now we go and vote for you. When election comes, we go and vote for you, denying the people of that district the right to decide who becomes a representative. Because if you win, it means that we help, to defraud the process.
Yes.
You understand? And that is what happened in Liberia. What's the thought about elections commission sitting down and allowing people move from one region to another? They say, well, you can vote anywhere. You
No,
know?
also they talk about domicile.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
you have to
also
live in the
yeah,
in the area. Yeah.
exactly so. At least 1 year.
Yeah, but it's not happening.
Yeah.
People
But
are
then
openly
then
commuting.
it's illegal because anything that doesn't go by their own laws and stuff and all of that, the people have a right to question it.
Yeah.
You see, they have a right to question it because the law is there. That's one of the reasons why I jotted down some of these things here, especially when it comes to qualification or candidate and
Yeah.
all of that. That candidate must also live in the place there for not less than a year,
Hmm.
in order for them to run for a position, in that area.
Absolutely. Hmm.
You see, so that's something that they're not doing. That's one of the reasons why they have not provided voter and civic education as they should have done.
Absolutely.
You know,
I agree.
I questioned the usage people. I called the embassy one time and questioned them
Yeah.
regarding that. I asked the lady there that's there for civic education. I said, "What are you doing in Liberia?" And that was like a year ago. What are you doing in Liberia to promote, civic and
Civil
for
education.
education
Yeah.
and all of that? And she said, "Oh, we got this thing here. We work with some people. We had a motorcycle day where they rode motorcycle for peace and all of that." I
Oh,
said, "You
really?
talk about our peace and reconciliation. You giving somebody a motorcycle? How many people can you give motorcycles in Liberia? And what
That's
is the
true.
function of the motorcycle with respect to promoting peace and
Peace and
reconciliation?"
reconciliation.
So I have an issue. I have an issue with you said, deliberately not wanting to promote democracy as they should, because this is something that they are imposing on us. This is a system that majority of the people don't understand. And you said that the United States Embassy, the United States government, represented in Liberia, should be in the forefront to make sure that the principles of democracies are well, expressed and propagated over the country so that people can understand it. I feel that the effort is zero, very, very zero. Because when I talk with them, and I even asked the DATI members on the ground, I said, please investigate in the different counties. Tell me how many nonprofit organizations are promoting peace and reconciliation in a nation where over a quarter million people died, and they couldn't tell me anything of that kind. Just quite recently, even the USAID, UNDP, these UN organizations, I also want to make that clear to the Liberian people. I have an issue with the UN organizations because they are using the fact that our own government is wicked to us, so they're using that advantage with the money that they receive. They're not using the money, for the intended purposes. They're not giving that money to organizations that will provide services that will be impactful. They're not doing that. And they got Liberians working in those organizations who are working against the interests of the Liberian people simply because they got an opportunity to make US dollars and all of that. So we have a big problem with even some of the UN agencies going up and down in the place there, spending so-called millions of dollars and you can't see any result. There's
Alfonso?
nothing about peace and reconciliation in a country where over a quarter million people have died. You don't hear nothing on radio station and all of that. The different places as you go from county to county, that is unacceptable. Very, very unacceptable. So they're part of the whole scheme. And the reason why they're part of that scheme is because it provides them, the longer our crisis lasts, it provides them the job opportunities. So they pretend like they're doing something whole day. They're having meetings in this paper and that paper and this and that, and we're not seeing no results. ECOWAS did a better job than when UN came with all the so-called bureaucracy and this and that, put in the person they wanted to put there. After the term, they left. That's the kind of people they are.
All right, Alfonso. Ask the last question so we can wrap up
Yeah,
this
no, I wanted
meeting today.
to make a point, and I'm sure Prof. Gbaba will mention that. I mean, you spoke eloquently about the role of, you know, arts and performing arts and promoting peace and democracy and everything. There's one thing that really strikes me. Um, and I just really opened up my phone and was looking at it. The role of arts and culture in creating jobs and building the economies of countries. And if you don't mind, let me read briefly what arts and culture did to the Nigerian economy. In 2013 or 2015, art and culture, all of this music and everything, the dancing, the creative arts in Nigeria, raised the Nigerian economy above the South African economy as the largest economy on the
Mhm.
continent of Africa. It contributed 510 billion United States dollars to the Nigerian economy.
Yep.
So I don't know if Prof wanted to comment on the economic aspect and the
Yep.
economic benefit of art and culture and job creation. It created millions of jobs in the Nigerian economy. I mean, we see it here with Hollywood and all of that and all of these
And
places
Broadway.
and Broadway and etc. So I don't know if Prof wanted to comment on the economic potential of arts and culture to a country's economy, to job creation, which then leads to peace and development.
Definitely. I would like to. And the thing here, first of all, I want to say how talented Liberians are. Very, very talented. They dance, they sing, they act, they do a lot of things. So when you talk about talent, we have a lot of talent in Liberia. And the reason why I even talked about the School of the Performing and Visual Arts is because there are so many benefits that you reap when you have a good cultural program in the country. One, it preserves the history and culture of the country. Two, it prepares the citizens to appreciate themselves and to appreciate the others that live in their same environment and all of that. So that's where the peaceful aspect comes in, the understanding and all of that comes in. It creates appreciation of cultural diversity. And then now we'll talk about the show thing you're talking about. So, for instance, if we are successful in establishing a school of the performing and visual arts, That school of the performing visual art is like a repository of talents. That's the first thing. People come from the United States, they come from other parts of the world, they want to do research. They got to have somewhere like that where you have local professionals in the culture and history to provide the knowledge. And I think they got that's money coming there. They're having seminars, they're having workshops, training. You're doing courses and things at the School of the Performing Arts. You'll be teaching crayon, crew, gribble, basa, those are the things. As you're teaching those things, people are coming from different parts of the country, they're learning those things, and you're preserving them as well. That's money. They're paying for the courses, they're doing that. You're having productions. Because for me, fortunately, I went to a school of the performing arts, So, and then I went to a school of education. So now, the programs that you put up, the production, those productions, especially in Liberia right now, we need to talk about peace and reconciliation in the different entertainment things that we talk about. So that's something also that will bring stability in the country. You see? So the economic aspect of it, if you have a production, that production you can travel to different, you can tour the West African countries, raising money, doing things and raising money. The visual aspects of it, where we're doing recordings, video recordings, film recordings, filming and all of that, that's money as well. You see? So it and then it creates an atmosphere of relaxation where people come for vacation because our production is going on. People travel from New York, they come watch their performance, they get on the airplane at Rouse International Airport, they go about their business. So culture, is very important. And also the government can use culture to unite the people. They should use culture to unite the people, to educate them, so that we know that we are one. That was one of the reasons why I brought my wife on, because I wanted people to know that behind each of us, there's a whole history and culture, but we are all Liberians. So how do we live together? You live together by accepting one another, by respecting one another's culture. When in my home, when it's time to eat small fish and gravy or whatever it is, we eat a small fish and gravy, but we eat a pan butter too. You see, no first, I'm not saying I'm not eating small fish and gravy because they're not my culture, this and that. No, we accept one another, like that. So with respect to that question, it's one of those things that we can raise a lot of money. If I had the support of any person in government or whatever it is, I can help the country to raise millions of dollars through productions, just training the young people and letting them tour, make money. People coming into the country and make money too.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Doc. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight. We covered so much grounds. It's about 10 minutes to 9. We will be wrapping up in the next two segments of our broadcast. You want to hang on because we want you to be initiated to the what type of country is this. And the way I hear you, I know you got a whole lot to share with us tonight. But before that, stay here and hang on for Memory Lane. Memory Lane is by Dr. Manneh Sumo, and today's Memory Lane is captioned Bowa Linge, today's Liberia. And Tomawa narrated the original name of today's Liberia. Liberia was called Bowa Linge. Here is her account as narrated from the Kabandis of Gola history. Long before the arrival of the priests with the Bible and the Portuguese with the tobacco and guns, the Mendes of modern day Sierra Leone, and the Goals of modern day Liberia were one people. I think he meant to say Gola, were
Mm-hmm.
one people. The two tribes shared a lot in common, including intermarriages, the Sandy, the Poro, and the Treaty of Peace.
Mm-hmm.
The two lands, today's Liberia and Sierra Leone, were and is separated by the Manneh River. Interestingly, the both sides of the Manneh River were called the same name depending on which side of the river you were. The Mendes called across the other side of the river, River Boa Lingo. and the Golas too in the same terms. Yeah, so Liberia and Sierra Leone were originally called Boa Linge. But y'all know that before the Civil War, majority of the population of Liberia was involved in subsistence farming or agriculture, small-scale market production of cash crops such as rubber, sugar, palm oil, and citrus fruits. And our country was seaweed, was sweet rather. He meant to say little bit of Liberian icons. So
Mhm.
thereafter, in the cause of the people, the struggle continues. Native woman born soldier, soldier killed turbo, that our time, nothing spoil, woman that what? Gange, you know who, or you Gange know you, country giant, Beku Bear, Iron Lady, Zogos have all replaced rural development.
Mhm.
Peace treaty signed by King Siaka of the Boa Linge, Sierra Leone, and King Doma Zulu of the Boa Linge, Liberia, was replaced by white man's map, and we now see each other as aliens.
Mhm.
As we go to elections in October, let us learn from the recent election results of Boa Linge, which is Sierra Leone. Politics in Boa Linke, Liberia, has tended toward the autocratic, with the constitution more a symbol of democracy than a guide for action. Right
Mhm.
now, Liberians are heavily focused on presidential election than they are with the senatorial and representative election, which is another sad mistake. Let's
Mhm.
put attention to who we are sending to represent us in both houses and not just focus on Liberia's presidency. You remember what happened? The Congo boys used to say to us, Congo, country boys, that if the country boys took power, they were going to sell their country. And we're seeing it today. Can we
Mhm.
now deduce and surmise that they're saying is true? Seems like it to me. Oh, so vote wise, vote smart, vote Liberia. A come in peace.
Mhm.
And this is a masterpiece here written by Dr. Manneh Sumo, who is sharing with us. Just like the Congo boss said, that the day the country boss take the country, they will sell it. And it looks like it's on sale. Because
Well,
the
they all sell in the country and the Congo.
you see,
Eh,
you
you will
want,
not want one set of people.
okay,
They
okay.
all sell
But,
in the country.
hold on now, hold on. The Chinese bathing, the Arabs are bathing, the Indians are bathing, the Lebanese are bathing. So people are bidding for Liberia. There was a guy who said, "You just share and give me my portion. I will move to another country and buy
Oh
land
wow.
there." But that's what happened. But so that is why we have a segment here called "What type of country is this?" And this segment is critical. So we want you to join. I hope Alfonso will come back. So I will tell you, you will make our notable guest. You're going to make the list, okay? In the next presentation,
Oh yeah.
former
Yeah.
Minister of State, former Minister of Information, former Minister of Internal Affairs. Was he information? No,
No, former Deputy Minister of Information or
Boris
Culture.
Tutu will make the next presentation of our notable guest. But what type of country is this, Dr. Joe Baba? Well, a sitting president. sells the national culture heritage of the country to a foreigner, not even a Liberian, to a foreigner of another country to just put a mere resort, right?
That
And,
is that is treasonous.
and the mere
That's a
resort,
treason.
I'm telling you, and the mere resort, right after the man made his money, he just gave it and sold it for cheap and he walked away.
What
What
type of
type
country
of
is
country
this?
is this?
Right, Dr. Gbaba, what type of country is this?
That, that,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. You know, that's a country where you have what's that? It's a betrayal of the nationalistic values of the country. And when anybody betrays a nation and people, it's a capital crime, and it's called treason. That's a treasonous act. You know, even the launching of the civil war from the Ivory Coast, you know, into Liberia, that's a treasonous act. And those who committed that high treason are afraid because treason is punishable by death or lifetime imprisonment.
So what type of country is this? Where they're having the centennial pavilion. I mean, a centennial celebration, bicentennial celebration of the country. And they leave one of the icons of the historical archives of culture, the performing arts. The Minister of Information does not reach out to this person to even put them on the committee as a consultant and tap into their expertise and research background and history. What type of country is this?
They, 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 they're leaning on their own understanding.
Yeah,
This
what type of country
is
is
a
this?
country. It's a country where the fools lean on their own understanding. You know, and that's what you get. Because first of all, who you brought up about the centennial celebration. I mean, bicentennial
Bicentennial.
celebration.
The
So
bicentennial.
far, as I'm concerned, we have not had the bicentennial celebration yet. The bicentennial celebration will take place uh, 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 24 years from now.
Okay.
That's the bicentennial celebration. Within
Which is actually 1847,
yes,
not
so
1822.
yeah, to 2047 will be our bicentennial. Okay, so whatever took place, they were just fools who didn't know what they were doing, and they did what they did. Okay, even at that, if you wanted to celebrate the bicentennial or arrival of the settlers and all of that, then what people do in this case, especially with anything that is cultural, is that you must give the descendants of the American Liberian families whose ancestors came on a trip, you must give them the opportunity for them to lead that kind of celebration. And the government must also kind of blend, bring in the indigenous people also, because when they came, they met indigenous people so that it could give it that national flavor.
And
So
that was,
the kind of country it is where the Gbaba chop there want to keep chopping.
and
You see?
interestingly, there was no play to depict that. The arrival of the settler on the Stockton Creek coming through there,
Mm-hmm.
utilizing the present day Providence Island, which was the historic spot where
Mm-hmm.
the indigenous Basonians accepted or received rather the settlers to both. There should be plays around there, and
Mm-hmm.
people
Mm-hmm.
like you who have been there. This would have been so beautiful. People would pay money to come and see those plays,
And
and
they would have
oh
made
my,
billions of dollars if it were properly planned.
yeah,
You see that
yeah.
that you see that's the issue about being so anxious about money. Let me tell you something about money. Money is like a fine woman, okay? But this fine woman, if you are a man that got status, and you work hard, you got your farm and everything, that you work hard and all of that. This fine woman is also looking for somebody who is strong and that can support them, to keep them up. Okay, and so if you anxious, If you're too anxious because you see any woman you see you want to follow them, you won't be able to get a fine woman. You see, they were too anxious for the little money that they missed the buku money. You
Yeah.
see, they missed the boat. I
All right.
pray that
So you gotta give, you got no, hold on. You
mhm.
gotta give your whatever country to now. You gotta bring your own. So what
Oh, so
country is it?
For you to bring out whatever country is this?
okay. So now, what kind of country is this
Mhm.
that somebody will spend their whole life, almost half a century, to promote peace and reconciliation, the history and culture of the country. And when time comes now for the person to really exhibit their talent, to show what kind of culture we have and all of that, and you leave them out.
What type
Wow,
of
What kind of
country?
that's a
country is
good
that?
one. What type of
What type of
country is
country?
this? That's
Yes.
a good one, Dr. Baba.
Yeah,
What
what
type
kind of
of
country
country?
is that?
Yeah. Where they don't
That is
value,
indeed a good one.
where they don't value the honorables. This is where now
Yeah,
you become
this is an
honorable.
honorable act. What
Yeah.
kind of country is this? You're not
Is
calling me honorable. Some of them don't even want to call me doctor, sir.
Yeah. What type of country is this? But what
what
type
type
of
of
country
country
is
is
this? The incumbent president is passing around and bragging that he gave the former vice president the ego.
yeah, all
When I
kind of
like
guy.
money, and I
That
bring more
government
money,
money.
that the country's obligation to a former statesman, a former
Yeah,
honorable man, a
yeah.
Yeah.
man who they can't show any picture on his corruption. They have checked every recording, every CCTV,
You can't
everything.
find
They can't
nothing.
find nothing. What type of
Con-
country is this? That the president is bragging or giving the man car when the car is
yeah,
known to the president and I ain't passing the money.
yeah. You
That
say,
just
oh,
that campaign message there that when you will
yeah.
win,
You say,
eh?
don't tell me anything about corruption because I gave you government car. Oh,
But then,
really?
just the fact that President Weah said that that's an act of corruption,
Of course.
and he takes ownership for something that he did not pay for.
For yeah,
That's an act of
that's
corruption.
thievery. Yeah,
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 what type of country is this?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Go ahead, Dr. Baba. Find one more. Whatever country is there.
What type of country is this where you know people going around calling rogues honorable? What kind of country is that?
Dr. Baba.
You're right. What type of country
What
is
kind of
this?
That's
country
a
is that?
good one, Dr. Baba.
And then you complaining, say you're suffering.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What kind of country is that? You see the people stealing your money from you, but whole day you want to be waking people up in America, showing the money for you to pay, for them to replace money that the people sort of gave you.
Yeah.
You're giving the people hard time. What kind of country is that?
What type
And
of
you
country?
celebrating there at the same time.
Yeah, you celebrating the people say, oh, we die, oh, but you celebrating them.
Yeah. Listen, folks here tonight, please send your what type of country is this. We're now in this segment. We'll be wrapping up shortly.
You
Dr. Baba
celebrating.
is with us here tonight. We're having fun after all of the serious discussion. And
Yeah.
I think he already acclimated, he understands it.
Hey,
We'll
says
take one
not.
more again. Go ahead. What type of country is this, Dr. Baba? Go ahead.
Okay. What type of country is this that we don't want to accept the truth? What type of country is this? We
Yeah.
don't want to accept the truth.
Mhm.
We don't want to accept the law.
No.
The law tells us that if you make XYZ punishment supposed to be meted out against you.
Mhm.
What kind of country is this that we engage in obstruction of justice, but
Yeah.
at the same time we are crying that we're suffering and we're being suppressed?
Absolutely.
What kind of country is that?
What type of country is this?
Yeah.
Yes.
What's this?
Mhm.
How can we get peace? How
Yeah.
can we get justice?
Yeah. What type of country
But you
is
see,
this?
what kind of a country where the person that making you to suffer, that making you to starve, you seeking Zekwe behind them? What kind of country is that?
What type
Like,
don't lie with me. What type of citizens are these?
Yeah, what kind of citizens are these? You shall not be
What
angry.
Nigerians are
You shall
these?
not be angry that you're being deprived, but you're dancing and singing Zekwe
yeah.
behind the person.
You're in the rain or you dancing.
Yes,
You say he came out mighty, came out powerful for you.
Let's
yes,
go for
yes.
Emmanuel Jackson. He says, what type of country is this? Ex-rebel, Roland Duo, wants Nimba County to elect him as senator because he did the same thing Prince Johnson and the Dovers duo. Killed a lot of Liberians.
Yeah, what
So
type
now
of
he
country
wants
is
to be
this?
senator.
You want to be a
What
senator?
type of country is this? Just like you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
The
you
people
know.
who continue to have committed heinous crimes but continue to pillage the country, they took the criminal money and they turn it into something else, so they feel that they have restored their dignity and they must
Mhm.
be titled to
Yeah, it should be
lucrative,
celebrated. Hmm.
lucrative positions in the country. And yet you said it, the citizens are running after these people because of course
Yeah.
ruling duo gonna have people running behind him in the rain, in the shine, and will cast the votes. What type of country and what type of people are these?
What type of people are these? You can't see what the people did in Niger. What they want the problem?
Yeah, what type of country is it? In fact, someone that will say, is he the only one who did it?
Yeah.
And you know, yeah,
Justification.
Yeah.
yeah,
Giving
just to
justification.
justify what the person did. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, your leader man, man. Is he the first? What type of
Yes.
country is this?
What type of country
Yeah.
is this, Moses? That
Yeah.
we're going to elections and thinking the people will be seen, yet they're still depicting stupidity at the highest degree,
Yeah. Hmm.
lawlessness at the highest degree, divisiveness at the highest
I
degree.
disagree.
You would
Yeah.
think people will harmonize, irrespective of our differences, and yet go and vote right. But we're fighting already before October 10th.
Yeah.
What type of country is this?
That's it.
What message is that sending to the international community?
I tell you. In
What
fact,
type of
what type
country
of
is this?
country is this? That a foreign ambassador will say, look, we have done everything we
We will not
can.
do our part.
We finished doing everything. It's left to you. And you come and tell us, say, the same people that we accuse of dishonesty are the people that you support. It's up to you. What
Yes.
type of country is this?
Yes. What kind of country is this?
Can you imagine a Natana McGill being celebrated in Liberia?
What
What
kind of
type of
country is
country is
this?
this?
And I hear Bill Tour is trying to run for senatorial.
Yeah, of course he's running.
Yeah, in
He has already been
River Chief.
certificated. He's contesting in Riverside County.
What type of
What type of country
what type
is
of
it?
country is this where three officials of the current government were sanctioned, and if you say that they are not guilty, you don't give them due process to
Mhm.
exonerate them, but
Yeah,
you leave the dark cloud hanging over them, and they're trying to get into the first branch of
the
government
government.
that is supposed to be the most integral, the most branch of government with integrity to hold other branches accountable.
Yeah,
That kind of stain, that dark cloud that is hanging over that person, does it give credibility to this branch of government?
of course
What
not.
type of country is this? In the first place, the executive branch to say, hey, listen,
No, you can't.
you can because we need to make sure that you are
You can't.
exonerated.
Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
the sitting president, lip sealed, and don't do anything about it. He said, well, man, you go try a log, yeah. When the people vote for
In
you,
fact, he gives political support.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, why? What do you think is
What type of
supporting
country
my
is
girl?
this?
Yeah.
Mm.
He said, I want a man on a ballot.
Wow.
Yeah, my girl
Emmanuel
built to
Jackson,
it.
what type
Yeah.
of country is this? The finance minister is on the campaign trail. Said LEC is now supplying Ivory Coast with electricity. Now the opposite.
Yeah, he said it yesterday. What
Oh,
type of country is this? Yes, Samuel
the,
Press
this,
says that Liberia is now supplying Ivory Coast electricity, Dr. Gbaba. What type of country is this? I
Wow.
mean, it's,
But
isn't
what
that
type of country
insanity at
is
the highest
this?
level?
What type of country is this that won't provide their own supplies, but will have to rely on another country for their
Yeah,
supply, especially
yeah.
a country where the evasion came from.
What type of country is
An
this?
important thing as electricity.
Yeah,
Why would you go back to somebody like that to provide your electricity,
yeah.
your source of security?
Mm-hmm.
What
And now
kind
you
of
turn
country
it
is
around.
this?
What type of country is this? Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's very serious.
What type of country is this? When a crime occurs, no one investigates the crime. What type of country is this?
all right, Dr. Baba, we want to thank you so much for being here with us tonight. We thought it was a good conversation. We hope that what we said, what we discussed, will reap some kind of result. We know that the program is coming up in December on the 16th. Hopefully, we'll play with our schedules to accommodate you. We know your intent is honorable, okay, put it that
Yeah.
way, and
Yes, indeed, honorable.
whatever you've planned, hopefully it will come to fruition in your lifetime. And
Amen.
some kind of president or some kind of government official or some kind of millionaire Liberian private citizen will see
Mm-hmm.
reason to kind of interact with you and join forces and put some resources in that because it will pay dividend. I can tell you, I know what.
And one of the things that we're doing too, with respect to that, is that anybody who has, money that wants to memorialize themselves or their relative, they can like we're sending invitation to the president, we're sending invitation to everyone, and giving them the opportunity. Anybody who provides the highest amount of money for us to construct the thing, it could be the George Weah School of the Performing Arts, it could be what his name Cummings School of Performing and Visual Art. It can be anybody who wants to promote and preserve the history and culture of the country. We need their support. Some of that
Indeed.
money, let it be used to benefit the people.
Thank you.
And then you can be remembered as well, because
Thank
the institution will carry your name, they carry the auditorium, whatever it is, and all of that. So it's open. It's an open bid for anyone to step up and say, well, Dr. Gbaba, I'm interested in the school. I'm interested for the school to be named in honor of my wife or my father, whatever it is, I will give $1 million or whatever it is. That's fine, you know. And that school forever will always be carry your family name. That's how the millionaires and rich people in America, that's how they remember. So I pray that somebody will step up, and give some money that will hopefully we can build a school and let it be there, so that we can have somewhere there where people can come to do research, to study Liberian history and culture, music, and all of that, to build the music industry. Because we got good musicians and talented people. But we need an institution, and we also need to institutionalize our history and culture so that it can be perpetuated.
thank
Right now, it's dead, it's zero.
thank you.
If you go the next 10 years without having any kind of structure, to remind us of who we are and all of that, that's it. We're gone.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you,
Thank you.
gentlemen. It was good seeing you guys. We'll catch up next Tuesday, Moses. We'll take
Thank
you
you, Dr. Gbaba. It was a pleasure having you. Thank you, Volcano.
at night. We're wrapping up now.
Yeah.
Good night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good night, Volcano. Thank you.
It's a long weekend coming up.